In Airstrip 1, the clocks strike 13, and the walls are watching you. Every home, office, and public square is equipped with a telescreen, a metal plaque that receives and transmits simultaneously. You have to live from the habit that becomes instinct. Every sound you make is overheard, and every movement is scrutinized by the thought police under the watchful eye of Big Brother. Look at the rubble and the exhausted expressions on the women in this photograph. This reflects the bleak, grinding reality of daily life in Oceania. The citizens endure a state of perpetual war. They live with crumbling 19th century architecture, chronic shortages of basic goods like razor blades and socks, and a food supply defined by foul-tasting synthetic gin and dark bread. Among these citizens is Winston Smith, a 39-year-old outer party member who harbors a fatal flaw, a memory. He tries to remember a time before the decay, before the endless war. Acting on a sudden, overwhelming urge, he steps into a junk shop and buys a beautiful, thick, blank book with creamy paper. Sitting in a shallow alcove in his apartment, barely out of the telescreen's line of sight, Winston dips a pen in ink. He writes the date, April 4th, 1984, and then, in a sudden panic, fills half the page with the words, "Down with Big Brother." He has committed the ultimate offense against the party, thought crime. In Oceania, rebellious thoughts are not a precursor to a crime. They are the crime itself. As Winston realizes the moment he sets down his pen, there is no trial and no escape. Thought crime does not entail death. Thought crime is death. The regime polices the inner workings of the mind with the exact same brutality it uses on the physical body. This flowchart illustrates how Winston earns his living at the Ministry of Truth. His job is to alter historical records. If Big Brother makes a prediction that turns out to be wrong, Winston rewrites the original speech so the prediction matches the current reality. The original document is then dropped into a pneumatic tube called a memory hole, leading directly to a massive incinerator. But controlling the past is only half the equation. Over in the research department, Winston's colleague Syme is working on a massive, highly technical project called Newspeak. The operational logic of Newspeak is entirely destructive. Instead of adding words, the party is systematically shrinking the dictionary. They are stripping away concepts like honor, justice, and freedom. If you eliminate the vocabulary required to articulate a rebellious concept, you make the thought itself literally impossible to form. This is a dual-pronged attack on human perception. The Ministry of Truth constantly retrofits the past, so the party appears infallible, while Newspeak actively bottlenecks the future by suffocating language. Winston's internal dissent eventually spills over into the physical world. A girl from the fiction department slips him a note that says, "I love you," sparking a highly illegal affair. Her name is Julia. Their rebellions operate on different frequencies. Winston is obsessed with the ideological mechanics of the party and finding objective truth in history. Julia's rebellion is visceral. She despises the party's rigid puritanism, so she breaks the rules through physical affection, using her own survival instincts to dodge the authorities. Together, they rent a room above Mr. Charrington's antique shop, the same shop where Winston bought his diary. It contains no telescreen. For a few hours a week, they build a private sanctuary. They drink real coffee, look at old paperweights, and construct a tiny bubble of the past entirely hidden from the state. Emboldened by this secret life, Winston takes a massive ideological leap. He makes contact with O'Brien, a powerful inner party member. Based on nothing more than a shared glance, Winston is convinced O'Brien is a high-ranking operative in the Brotherhood, a legendary underground resistance network dedicated to bringing down Big Brother. Meeting with O'Brien, pledging to commit sabotage, and maintaining their hidden room gives Winston and Julia a thrilling sense of momentum. For the first time, they harbor the illusion that systemic resistance might actually work, and that two individuals can outsmart the machine. O'Brien smuggles a copy of the ultimate forbidden text to Winston, a manifesto detailing how Oceania actually functions. The book explains that the three global superpowers are locked in a perpetual, fabricated war. The sole purpose of this conflict is to deliberately destroy the excess goods produced by modern industry, keeping the masses on the brink of hardship and preserving a rigid class hierarchy. Looking at this typographic layout, we see the twisted logic that holds the entire system together. War is peace, because constant external conflict stabilizes internal society. Freedom is slavery, because the individual is doomed to fail, while total submission equals power. Ignorance is strength, because an unthinking populace cannot revolt. Winston reads this safely in the sanctuary of the antique shop. Then a metallic voice echoes through the room. An iron grating slides away behind an old picture on the wall, revealing a hidden telescreen. Armed guards storm the room. Mr. Charrington enters. The shopkeeper's warmth is gone, replaced by the clinical coldness of a thought police operative. The trap was flawless. The party knew about Winston from the moment he bought the diary. They provided the room, they provided the book, and they allowed the rebellion to blossom over years. They did this solely to track it, study its contours, and crush it on their own timeline. Winston is dragged to the windowless Ministry of Love, a place defined by bright porcelain and constant, agonizing beatings. Here, the final betrayal occurs. O'Brien enters the cell, but he isn't there to rescue Winston. He is the interrogator. Observe the hollowed-out expressions of the men in this photograph. Execution creates martyrs, so the party chooses a different path. They methodically break dissidents until they genuinely repent, transforming them into the shells seen here, who eventually beg to die with a clean mind. O'Brien's torture isn't about extracting secrets. It is a philosophical assault. He straps Winston to a machine and slowly cranks up the pain to force a terrifying concession. Objective reality does not exist outside the human mind. If the collective mind of the party says O'Brien is holding up 5 fingers and Winston clearly sees 4, Winston must endure agonizing pain until his brain genuinely repairs itself to see 5. Total physical domination is cheap and easy. The party wants something far more absolute. They demand the total conquest of the human mind, systematically overriding personal memory and objective truth with blind, unthinking obedience. Even after being starved, electrocuted, and physically broken, Winston clings to a single microscopic shred of his own humanity. He has confessed to every crime, but he has not stopped loving Julia. He has not betrayed her in his heart. So O'Brien sends him to room 101. The room contains the worst thing in the world, tailored to the specific phobia of the prisoner inside. For Winston, that means a wire cage strapped to his face, holding a pair of massive, starving rats, eager to burrow into his eyes. As the cage clicks closer to his skin, the primal terror overwhelms his remaining intellect. The psychological snap is total. He screams the only words that can save him. "Do it to Julia, not me, Julia." In that moment, he severs his last human connection. We find him months later sitting in the Chestnut Tree Cafe. He is a ruined, alcoholic shell of a man, weeping as the telescreen reports a military victory. The struggle is finished. He has won the victory over himself. He loves Big Brother. Orwell's novel serves as a demonstration. When an authority dictates reality and monitors every thought, they possess the mechanism to rewrite the human soul entirely.